Our guest this morning is a former Australian politician. She was a Liberal member of the Australian Senate representing the state of Victoria from year 2008 until year 2014. She was the president of the Victorian division of the Liberal Party for many years. It's with great pleasure I'd like to introduce Helen Krorger in our studios this morning. Good morning and welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Derek. It's great to be on your program.
Helen, first of all, when you represented the Australian government a few years ago, for about 5 years ago, you got a chance to travel to Sri Lanka. Will you be able to briefly tell us about your trip?
Sure. It was actually when I was in the Senate and I was asked to be part of a government delegation to Sri Lanka. And we spent about a week there. We travelled to Colombo and saw the vibrant, beautiful city that Colombo is, but also had an opportunity to meet with a number of distinguished members of cabinet, senior politicians, and a number of other senior leaders in industry. We then travelled up through Kandy, saw the wonderful tea plantations, where I've been clearly drinking their tea for a long time. But Kandy, beautiful place, Kandy. Then up to Jaffna, where the Australian government is still actually directing quite a bit of aid to help in the restoration process up there, landmine clearing projects and so on. So we actually visited a number of those. But more importantly, it gave me an opportunity to be immersed in Sri Lanka life and meet so many wonderful people. And it really has started a very close relationship that I have with the Sri Lankan community ever since.
Oh, that's good. Now, you're the candidate of the seat of Bruce.
Yes,
where
I
it's
am.
covering from Vilasil to Dandenong, and there's many Sri Lankans in
There
that
are
area.
indeed, there are indeed. In fact, Dandenong has one of the largest populations of Sri Lankans, as you are probably aware.
Yeah.
In Victoria, there are close to 50,000, of which a significant number live in Dandenong. And only on Friday, I was trying out the beautiful, may I say, fiery food from Colombo, Inex, I think it's called. Impex, it is, that's exactly right, which is walking distance from my campaign office.
Yeah.
But I've had actually quite an engagement with many of the people in the area for a period of time, going back to when I was the government whip in the Senate. Okay.
Now you're representing the Bruce area, the Vilasil up to Dandenong. There's a lot of unemployment in Dandenong. Now, there's anything?
Sadly, there is, and Derek, it's a really good point. I actually grew up in the area, and Dandenong has changed over that time tremendously. And sadly, there is significant unemployment, higher unemployment in the area than the rest of the state average. And youth unemployment is particularly high. It's over 25%.
Okay.
Now, many of those young men and women want to find a job, and the government's strong national economic plan is directed towards creating more jobs, but in particular targeting the under 25s to help them get into employment. It's interesting because those in the Sri Lankan community, more than 70% of those in the Sri Lankan community are in the labour force. So unemployment, I would suggest, is very low in the Sri Lankan community. And I think that's largely got a lot to do with the strong traditional family units and the way in which parents and grandparents share their strong views, ensure that their kids get a good education and help them into jobs. That doesn't naturally happen across the broader electorate, and it's something I'm very concerned about and want to address.
Okay. Now talk about addressing, what can you do for the Sri Lankan community?
The one thing that I have observed is that you don't have a community home. There is no centre. So when I have asked my friends, what do you call your home, your community home? They say, what do you mean? You look at various other community groups and they have a centre where they can all congregate. And I don't think the Sri Lankan community have. So I would love to see, I would love to hear from many in the community to see if there's something we could do there so that we could develop a centre for the Sri Lankan community to congregate.
Okay. Now, 2nd of July is the date of election.
Very exciting.
Now, there are lots of topics we can talk about, but very briefly, as a candidate for Bruce, what can you do as a Liberal candidate?
And that is a great question, because the area has been held by a Labor Member of Parliament for 20 years, and I think it's time for a change.
Yes.
Because the change is good. I think that we can do a lot better in the area, and that's why I'm actually running. It's an area that's close to my heart. It's got enormous rich diversity in terms of the number of communities that are in the area. I think we can do a lot better in terms of improving services, roads, transportation, housing. Employment is a big issue, and we are very focused on delivering a better result for the area.
Okay. With the refugee situation, what can you do for us?
Well, we have had a very strong, successful border security policy, and it's one that has proven to be very successful. We don't have any boat arrivals anymore. We have taken all children out of detention, and that's a really good thing. Sri Lanka and Australia have had a very strong cooperative approach to border security, and in fact we have worked very closely together on that, and I am very respectful and very grateful for the support of the Sri Lankan government and continuing support in the cooperative relationship that the two countries have shared.
Okay. There are other topics, as I said, there are many topics we can talk about. We can talk about schools, we can talk about housing policies and all that. Will you be able to select one topic and briefly spread the good news?
Oh, absolutely. But the choice is which one, Derek? Which one?
Okay, let's.
Well, I was just going to cover all the areas.
Yeah.
I'm a Liberal candidate because I believe in strong Liberal values, and the values that I think resonate in the Sri Lankan community.
Yeah.
I strongly support freedom of speech, freedom of association, but most importantly, the importance of the traditional family unit. Because in those countries where we have strong traditional family units, we have strong communities and strong countries. And when I went to Sri Lanka, I saw the way in which the country flourishes with the importance and the value and the respect placed upon the traditional family unit. It's something that I am passionate about. I think that as a Liberal, I believe that as a mother, I should have the right to share the values and the beliefs and the religious values and beliefs that I have with my children and teach them, not have a government impose its views, but as a parent, be able to do that. And they are values I know that resonate in the Sri Lankan community, and they're certainly values that I'm very passionate about.
Okay. Helen, it's been very interesting talking to you. As I said, on the 2nd of July, let me wish you all the very best, and looking forward to seeing you again after your winning.
Thank you very much, Derek, and it's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no better